This is the Italian Real Estate Podcast, here to help you with the ins and outs and basics of Italian real estate, presented by ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Italian Real Estate Podcast, presented by ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. Of course, we are back, as usual, with Italian attorney Marco Permunian. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
I am doing great, thank you. Thanks for asking, and I'm also glad to hear that you're doing well. This week, we wanted to get into a very particular subject about a flat tax regime for high net worth individuals in Italy. And so, Marco, can you tell us a bit about this regime for individuals that are of a high net worth who are looking at Italy and considering what Italy may have to offer them?
A lot of people don't know that the Italian government in 2017 introduced a law which basically introduced a new tax regime for high net worth individuals, and specifically for people who earn their income abroad, so outside of Italy, and want to relocate to Italy and make Italy their home. And that's very, very interesting because basically, regardless of your income, which could be very, very high, you end up paying, according to this regime, only 100,000 euros per year. So if you make 10 millions, 20 millions, 5 millions a year, as an individual, you owe in taxes, no matter how much you make, 100,000 euros per year. Of course, there are some requirements that need to be met, but the new regime is very, very interesting. And of course, it's meant to attract foreign investors or foreign high net worth individuals who want to establish their residency in Italy. And of course, one of the first requirements is that the person needs to establish residency in Italy. So you need to make Italy your home, and that requires getting a visa, because this tax regime doesn't automatically comes with a visa. So you do need to apply for a visa, and there are several visas that are made available by the Italian government, including one visa for investors. So for people who want to invest in Italy, and we recorded one episode a while back about the investor visa. So I encourage people who are interested in understanding the requirements for the investor visa to look at that episode that we recorded, and it's available on this channel. There are also other types of visas that you can apply for to relocate to Italy and benefit from the new tax regime, such as the elective residency visa or the work visa, self-employment visas. There are several visas which we talked about extensively in this channel that people can refer to get more information about those visas. But since we're talking about the tax regime for high net worth individuals, I think it's worthwhile to list all of the requirements. The first one, like I said, is that the person needs to establish residency in Italy. So the person needs to be willing to move to Italy. And the second requirement is that the individual, no matter if it's an Italian citizen or a foreign citizen, hasn't resided in Italy for the previous 9 years. So only if the individual was residing abroad for the 9 years before the application for this tax regime is filed, then the person can apply for this tax regime. Because of course, the new tax regime is meant to attract individuals from abroad that want to come live in Italy. The third requirement, or probably I should say clarification, that the Italian government made is that the new tax regime only applies to foreign earned income. So it doesn't apply to any potential income that the person earns while residing in Italy. And to that income, the normal tax regimes will apply. And the Italian government has introduced in the recent years a few very advantageous tax regimes for domestic earned income. And we also made a video a while back about the 7% tax regime, but there are others that are available for the domestic income and that can be combined with this newly introduced tax regime for high net worth individuals. To facilitate the relocation to Italy of these high net worth individuals, the Italian government allows also the spouses of these high net worth individuals to benefit from this very advantageous tax regime. And specifically, the spouse can also qualify for this tax regime, and the lump sum that they have to pay is equal to 25,000 euros a year. So basically, the main applicant will end up paying 100,000 euros per year, whereas the spouse, who can also qualify for this tax regime, will pay only 25,000 euros per year. So it's a very, very advantageous tax regime, and that a lot of people don't even know that exists, and that makes Italy basically a new tax haven for high net worth individuals. And to further facilitate the application process, the Italian government allows these high net worth individuals that thus far have paid their taxes abroad to file a pre-application with the Italian authorities, with Italian tax authorities, to get their opinion as to whether they qualify for this tax regime, to avoid issues after the person has established residency in Italy. So you can also get a pre-approval for this regime before you even move to Italy, to avoid any possible issues while you live in Italy on this new tax regime.
Well, that's really interesting about this pre-approval process and how proactive the Italian government is for helping these individuals to be able to make Italy their home, or allow Italy to be an attractive location that can be their home. But part of making your home is also being legally able to reside there. And you mentioned that this tax regime doesn't guarantee the ability to stay in the country, and that a person would otherwise have to figure out how they can do so. So, of course, I'm assuming that getting Italian citizenship, or already having Italian citizenship, maybe even by descent, would be one possibility. Or what other kinds of visas, or how would that residency work? What's available to these individuals that might be interested in this taxation scheme?
What you just said is a very, very interesting point, because like I said at the beginning of the video, this new tax regime doesn't necessarily apply to foreign citizens, but it can also apply to Italian citizens who have been living outside of Italy for the previous 9 years. And it also can apply to dual citizens, meaning US citizens, for example, who obtained Italian citizenship through marriage or by descent. And those individuals, of course, do not need a visa to be able to reside in Italy. But what if you are not an Italian citizen and you do need a visa? Well, there are several visas that the Italian government makes available to foreign citizens who want to relocate to Italy, especially foreign citizens who have the ability to support themselves without having to work or rely on employment. And I'm specifically referring to the elective residency visa, and we recorded an episode specifically on the elective residency visa, so I'm going to encourage people to watch that episode for detailed information. But maybe we can just give some details, because that's one of the most popular visas among people who have income that allows them to support themselves in Italy without having to rely on work. And of course, since we're talking about high net worth individuals, it can be assumed that these people can support themselves without having to rely on any work activities carried out in Italy. So the elective residency visa is a visa that you apply for through the Italian consulate in your home country. And the main requirements that you have at least 3,000 euros roughly. There's an exact number provided by the law, but it's roughly 3,000 euros per person per month of stable passive income. So the Italian consulate is only gonna consider passive income. I don't know, pension or investments or anything that produces passive income and is considered to be stable over time. And it's, like I said, 3,000 euros roughly per month per person. So if it's a couple, it's about 6,000 euros. To apply for this visa, you also need to have a house or an apartment, a place to stay in Italy, which you can rent, which you can buy. And by the way, we said this in many other videos, that buying a property in Italy doesn't automatically qualify you for any visa, but it can facilitate the obtainment of certain visa, such as the elective residence visa, where one of the requirements is, again, having a house in Italy that you can rent or that you can buy. If you have the income, if you have a property in Italy, you can file your application through the consulate, and the approval process takes about 90 days. And the visa is valid for 1 year, and it's renewable every year as long as you maintain the income required by the law. The second visa type of visa that a high net worth individual might be looking for is probably the investor visa, which is a visa which was introduced very recently by the Italian government in 2016, which basically is meant for people who want to make an investment in Italy. And there are 4 categories of investments. The first one is 2 million euros invested in government bonds. The second type of investment that the individual can make is a donation to a philanthropic entity, to a philanthropic initiative in Italy. And the donation needs to be at least equal to 1 million euros. Now, there are 2 more categories. The first one is an investment into an Italian LLC, so a limited liability company, equal to at least 500,000 euros. And the final type of investment that an individual can make is a 250,000 euros investment in a startup company. So there are basically these 4 categories, these 4 type of investments that an individual can make to qualify for this golden visa, basically. And the Italian government also tries to facilitate the application process by making it very quick. So what makes this visa different from the other visas is also that the application process can be done exclusively online, which means that it's very fast compared to the other types of application process. You don't have to go to the consulate. There's no approval that involves sending papers to the consulate. Everything is done online, so it's very quick and it's a very efficient process and a very quick way to gain residency in Italy if we're willing to make an investment. And like we said, if you are high net worth individuals who get the golden visa, for all of your foreign income, you can qualify and you can apply for this very advantageous tax regime for high net worth individuals, which basically is very advantageous because you end up paying only a lump sum, a flat tax equal to 100,000 euros per year, regardless of your income. And maybe the last piece of information that we can give people before we end up the episode is that the tax regime for high net worth individuals is only valid for a maximum of 15 years.
This has all been absolutely fascinating, and thank you so much, Marco, for filling us in on these topics and to shed some more light on this. Of course, if anybody is needing any assistance with this, if they're wanting to get some property in Italy, or if they're needing to explore the options for visas that they can get in the country, how can they get in contact with you and your team?
People can contact us through our website, ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com, or give us a call. The number is on the website.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. And of course, if you're interested in more content like this about Italian real estate, Italian taxes, Italian law, so whatever it is that you can make Italy your home, be sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel as well as the audio only podcast. But of course, if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you are also automatically subscribed to the Italian Citizenship Podcast, another project where Marco and I also talk about some of the practical sides of the legal aspects of moving to Italy, Italian citizenship, and all of that general area. Of course, also, if you're interested in more about life abroad, living abroad as a dual citizen expat, be sure to come over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rafael Di Furia. Again, thank you so much, Marco, for making yourself available for this episode of the Italian Real Estate Podcast, presented by ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com. I'm Rafael Di Furia. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we will see you all next time. Later.
Thank you.